Hello everyone, welcome to our presentation of Group 4 about career path. First, we would like to introduce our group members. There are three teams, which are content curators, designers, and presenters. Me, Thu Thủy, Lê Vân, and Mạnh Tiến are the presenters of our group. Mạnh Tiến also engaged in the content part with Bảo Thi. About designers, there are Song Chuk and Tuấn Đạt, and we will continue to the table of content. And in this presentation, we would like to describe and talk about five main things. First is the problem definition. Secondly is the causes of the problem. Thirdly is the alphanine. And next is the application of the above one. And lastly, we will have a conclusion for our presentation.
Okay, so now I introduce you guys to a very common problem that a lot of young people are facing today, which is choosing a major. So, choosing a major is difficult today because young people must balance their passions, their expected income, their job market demand, and finally the skills. So, this may be harder than you think because young people actually don't have that much of experience to actually choose themselves a final major that they follow for such a long period of time, especially if there's no one to guide them. And this problem is mostly coming from the lack of analytical skills. So our decisions are often driven by emotions, family pressures, or short-term trends. Like maybe many people will wonder that like should I choose this or that? Should I prioritize this or that? And that leads them to anxiety. And as a result, the more you think about the problem, the more anxious you are, and the less the problem are solved. So when this happens, all what your brain gonna do is run away from making a final decision. And this is because like obviously it is scared. It doesn't know what to do, and it may think that um making a final decision equals risking everything it has. So, to avoid that, it's just going to run away. But that is a very, very bad situation that a young person may face. So, yeah, this is the problem we gotta solve. Therefore, our team, Group 4, will suggest you guys a solution. But before coming to that part, let's have a look about the reasons why all of this happens. Like, what is the indirect causes that leads to this problem?
Coming to the causes of the problem, we have here Kahoot for you guys. Which one do you think is the reason for this problem? Is it yourself, your family, or the social and labor market? Or you would choose all of the above? We have to say that the option all of the above is such a great thing that you cannot deny it, right? The first obstacle comes from the individual, short term interest, and lack of real experience. Many students don't really know what they like or what suits them. Interests are often temporary, influenced by trends or emotions. Besides, they lack practical experience, so they can't imagine how the real job is completely different from what they see on the surface. Also, some might misjudge their personal abilities. It's a common problem to evaluate oneself incorrectly. Many think they are good or think they don't fit based purely on personal feelings, not solid evidence. One more thing is that some will ignore their personal circumstances, such as finances, health, stress tolerance, or living environment, factors that directly affect the sustainability of a career choice. Secondly, we have family factors. Career decisions are rarely entirely personal, especially in Asian families. Parents often prefer safe majors with stable incomes and high job opportunities. This comes from the desire to secure their children's future, especially since college tuition is a big investment. For families with limited finances, financial pressures make it even harder for students to take risks to follow their passion. And because of those, students' choices lean towards practicality rather than interest, and career becomes a matter of survival, not just passion. Lastly, we come to the social and labor market factors. The modern social context also makes the problem more complicated. It changes quickly due to technology and automation. According to the World Economic Forum, nearly half of workers' core skills will change in a few years. As you can see in this picture, top fastest growing jobs are tech, data, and AI, while the top fastest declining jobs are administrative and data entry. Besides, career information, social media, or the news sometimes sugar-coated, giving students the wrong idea about actual income or opportunities. Eventually, quick decisions without careful research because of lack of accurate information and high competition will lead to future difficulties.
A frequently mentioned model is Ikigai, which suggests that the ideal job lies at the intersections of four elements. This is love, what you love, good at, what you are good at, needs, what society really needs, pay for, what you can be paid for. However, if we try to perfectly balance all four elements, this model becomes too idealistic and hard to apply in reality. Instead of young people trying to balance four elements to choose an ideal matrix, we propose a new approach to this model to choose a suitable matrix.
However, if we try to perfectly balance all four elements, this model becomes too idealistic and hard to apply in reality. Therefore, I think that instead of trying to balance four elements at the same time to choose an ideal measure, we should approach to this model in another way. And I give you guys some example. So the first step, if you want to apply the framework practically, is to objectively evaluate each element. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about the love part. So, a lot of students often mistake temporary interest for the true passion. So let's take an example, right? Like, after watching a movie about art, seeing an introduction to the medical field, or looking up to the character they admire, they immediately think that, oh, I will pursue this career, but that is completely not the right thing that one should do because true passion is not based on temporary emotion. We should evaluate it on actual behaviors, and I'll suggest using the questions or reflections to determine how much you love a feel. So you could ask yourself questions like, do you actively self-study or research it in long term? Or have you ever joined related projects, clubs, or made related products? Or do you still feel interested when facing difficulties? And you can even ask yourself more and more and more questions besides all of this until you finally know what do you love. And I suppose that all of the questions you ask yourself should be reflective because only by that way would you be able to reflect on yourself and think about what you have done. And on the other hand, because your answer to yourself and your answer for yourself, you should say it truthfully. And if you if you answer yes many times about one thing, probably that is your true passion. That is what you are willing to pursue in a long term. And here come the second part. What you good at. So this section is all about your ability. Like what can you do, right? And this is kind of similar to passion. Just because we think we're good at doesn't mean we actually are. So there are many ways to verify and evaluate this part. First of all, we have academic records. This is like very familiar to all of the students, right? So we can look at the academic records, the awards or certificates from reputable and professional competitions or activities. And just in case you don't have any experience, you can start joining competitions like right now. Look it up on Google and search for suitable competitions that you can join at to have a deeper understanding about what is about your ability in general, right? The second one is expert evaluation. So this is like feedback from teachers or experts with practical evaluation through projects or practical products. The third one is competence, and this is like you should do some competence and career orientation tests like the Holland test, the MBTI test, and etc. Um, While you're reflecting, please keep this in mind. Ability must be something measurable, not just felt. And here comes the last two sections, the needs and the people. So these two elements are quite specific and require careful research. Avoid falling for advice or opinions from family, relatives, or friends, or false information in social media. Instead, we should visit official websites and reputable articles to get accurate data, like the number of jobs openings. And well, you can, if you are able to, you can research the industry more carefully, like the starting salary, the industry growth rate, and you can also refer to data from LinkedIn or the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. And like decisions should be based on real numbers, not just rumors or family prejudices. And you must remember that you don't have to try to achieve an illusionary balance. You have to base it. Like any of your decisions should be based on real circumstances. And the most important point is that you don't need to balance all four elements equally. Instead, I suggest that you should prioritize based on personal and family economic conditions. So let me give you some suggested priorities orders. If you don't have that much money and you have high financial pressure, I would say let's prioritize stability and ability first. So it'll be the pay for, the needs, the good at, and then here comes the love. Or if you have average economy, which means that you have some like financial pressure but it's still flexible enough for you, you should prioritize your ability and your income. So let's say we would be good at, pay for, equals needs, and the last one we love. Lastly, if you're having this, lucky you, because if you have a stable or it could be a wealthy economy, like you have financial support from everyone else around you and even yourself, um, you should prioritize your creativity and your passion. So the priority would be the love, the good at, the needs, and the pay for.
To have a more practical look to our method, we have here the application to four students, Calvin, Ken, Julie, and Amy. Four students have their own goal. Kevin wants to make a living. Then he must spend 60% of his resources for the paid for, 30% for the needs, 10% for what he is good at, and 0% for what he loves. Julie wants to be experimenting. She must spend about 70% for what she's good at and be paid for 20% for what she loves and 10% for what she needs. Ken wants to have an economic stability status, then 70% of his resources will be used for the paid for and what he's good at, 20% for his needs, and 10% for what he loves. Amy wants to have long-term decision, then she might choose what she loves at 60%, 30% for what she's good at, and 10% for what she would be paid for, and 0% for the needs of social. Turning those plans to practical activities, Kevin have to study, apply for an internship, and find a job, while Julie try out passion while maintaining income and saving. Ken have to also maintain his income and also plan for the savings. Amy can consider the most suitable path.
So, in conclusion, Ikigai is not a one time choice for your whole life. It is about allocating priorities according to each life stage.